What is going on, everybody? Today is a Star Wars Throwdown where we are pitting two of the best, and we are talking animated series, my heart and blood, all of the above, the Clone Wars versus Star Wars Rebels. Guys, we're rating the Star Wars Rebels and Clone Wars on visuals and story and memorable moments and final grades and rewatchability and grading every single one out of 10. And we're going to see who is, what is the best of the best when it comes to Star Wars animation. Joining me as always, my man Lo at Marcellus Durden, the champion of the fantasy movie draft. What's up, Lo?
Huzzah! I rose victorious. It was a hell of a matchup. Shouts out to Aaron of Feelin' Film. He took me down to the wire. He took everybody down the wire, man. He came out swinging. He was his first time drafting with us, right? If I recall. So as a first-time draftee, man, he went straight to the championship and gave me a run for my money. It was just an awesome time and an awesome panel. Thanks to everybody that participated. It's good to be back in the draft season.
Then we've got a special guest, my man Matt Wyatt. Follow him on Twitter at Matt Wyatt651. What's going on, Matt? Where can we find you, man?
Dude, it's been a while. Like, it feels like a lifetime since I last time been on this Suit Up Geeks, but I'm so happy to be back on and talk about Star Wars Rebels and Clone Wars because I'm a Star Wars fan. It's Star Wars month, baby. We got 2 more weeks left with the Obi-Wan series, and today is the 20th anniversary of Attack of the Clones, which I cannot believe that movie came out for that so long. I was like 9 years old when that came out in theaters. So if you want to find me, you can find me at Matt Wyatt651 on my Twitter page, and you can go to the link tree in my bio where I have a lot of my social media platforms with Instagram and Letterboxd where I do my movie reviews.
All right, guys. My man Matt, thank you so much for joining. I'm really excited to see how this one turns out. I hope it goes according to plan here because I'm very sensitive about these particular shows. Like you said, Matt, Star Wars Celebration is, if you're watching this live, it is like literally a week and a half away. We're going to get a lot of exciting Star Wars news as well about the Bad Batch, different things like that. So let's start off with the Clone Wars. Loretto, what was your grade on the plot, the story of the Clone Wars? Grades out of 10.
I really hate to be so biased because I love it so much, and I think that there's so much more than meets the eye, especially when friends like our friend Gabe says animations for children, and it's like no sir. Diving into the mindset of these clones and the brotherhood between the clones, like they're not just the same. They each have their own personality, they each have their own soul, their own feelings, and learning that with the 501st, with Rex, and with Cody and Fives and Echo, and we just go on this journey with these guys, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful journey, and I think what I really love about the Clone Wars is the complexity of, there's a lot of episodes to get through. It's like something like over 100, whatever. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but there's so many like stories they get into, and the arcs that everyone remembers are what really sticks with you. And honestly, it's a 10 for me.
Wow.
You look at the Mortis arc, exploring the ancient force wielders and Anakin's role as the chosen one, and you look at the Umbara arc with the clones being turned against each other from the evil General Krell, and there's just so much to dig in here. And to highlight one of my favorites, I just love Asajj Ventress, and I love her journey from assassin to learning her backstory, that it wasn't really her fault that she went the way that she did, and then I like that she eventually found her own way after the death of the Night Sisters and all that. And by the way, are we doing spoilers here? Spoiler alert!
Spoiler. Yeah. Oh, come on. Totally.
Oh, yeah. Dude, you're going to ruin the show that came out like 15 years ago.
But yeah, no, I mean, after the death of the Night Sisters, I like that Asajj found her own path, and she turns into kind of an anti-hero in a way. And I love her journey as well. There's so many like interweaving storylines, and it's beautifully well done, man. It's a 10 for me. Like, if you're a Star Wars fan, like, you just eat this up. It's just Dave, and like, this is why we say in Dave Filoni we trust.
100%. Yeah, absolutely nailed it. A 10 for Loretto on the story of Clone Wars. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, dude. I mean, I remember when the Clone Wars movie came out in theaters before this show hit on Cartoon Network. I've seen it in the theaters countless times. Sure, it doesn't quite hold up as much as it used to, but I will say that once we got into the series, it really started to find its footing. Sure, in the earlier seasons, like season 1 and a little bit 2, it started to be a little bit kiddie at times, but then as you keep watching and then progressing the story, it really does continue to mature and it continues to progress. I love that we got a chance to get new characters that we haven't seen before. We get the introduction of Ahsoka Tano, which at first, I mean, she wasn't my biggest fan at first, but then she started to really truly grow on me because I started to buying into the whole relationship between her and Anakin, and seeing him becoming more of the mentorship to her, and it was very well compelling. We get to like see the point of view of why the Jedi are not what they're used to be because they lost their ways, and when Ahsoka left, that's when Anakin became had second thoughts of what the Jedi is now, and you start to see a different point of view and the reason why that Anakin turned. It wasn't just about saving Padme; it was just about him being the chosen one, having that burden, living 2 double lives. Now seeing what the Jedi, that they're not what it used to be. They're more like soldiers that are very cold and calculated. And we get more in development in the 3-year gap, and that's what Dave Filoni and George Lucas did so well, that we get into explore the side of the galaxy that we haven't seen before. The clone, Lo said, that the clone troopers, they have more personality. They weren't just a bunch of carbon copy that just comes and goes. They have a lot of character arc. My favorite one is easily Rex. I really love his journey through the series. And yeah, they get more into the development of the relationship between the friendship between Anakin and Obi-Wan. Now you started to believe that they are brothers, and why that Revenge of the Sith started to make more sense, and it's more forgiving. Even if you weren't a big fan of the prequel trilogy, you start to appreciate it more once you get into the Clone Wars series. So this is definitely a 9 out of 10. There are some episodes that weren't the greatest. There was something that you can easily skip, but there are lots of the strong ones. Like, for instance, the Mortis trilogy. Wow, well done. It was my favorite arc out of the whole series. We get into the deep of the father, the son and the daughter, the light side and the dark side, how it all balanced. It was just so incredibly well compelling. And we got Darth Maul back. How insane that was, that we never thought we were going to see him return, because when we saw in the Phantom Menace, Obi-Wan killed him, and we thought we were never going to see his character develop ever, until he became a character, and the great Sam Witwer knocked it out of the park with the voice. He's a true Star Wars nerd. This is definitely a 9 out of 10, and the final season of the final 4 episodes was definitely one of the best Star Wars stories that they have ever done.
Good. Absolutely nailed it. Just kind of piggyback of what you just said, Matt. The Clone Wars just improved upon the prequels so much,
Yep.
Absolutely so much. I think that's the biggest success here. The Clone Wars, made kind of the prequel films not a punching joke anymore. There's a good chunk of fans that kind of laughed at those three, not at least the first 2 movies, a little bit. So they improved upon the relationships of Anakin and Obi-Wan. They improved upon Anakin's downfall. You nailed it. They gave us our first taste of Ahsoka Tano. Wow. Just wow. Her going through that journey was absolutely incredible. I do have a negative about the Clone Wars. It's the fact that that everything's going according to Palpatine's plan. And that meaningful wise, it just wasn't there. There was an end date. There was an end date 100% with this show. But just to pick off what you said, Matt, as well about season 7, those last 4 episodes of season 7 are pound for pound the best modern Star Wars content yet. That is it for me. That is that good. So for me, I give it a 9. I give it a 9 out of 10. Let's roll on to visuals and story. Loretto, visuals and sound. Sorry, visuals and sound. Loretto, go ahead.
Oh man, that totally changes the score. Because if it was visuals alone, it'd probably be hovering in the 8-ish range. This was the age of animation that, especially if you watch the film, it just wasn't polished. It looked a little bit almost like cardboard cutouts, especially in the very beginning. But it's just interesting to see, as much as we see Ahsoka's journey from Padawan to eventual in the finale, she's pretty much a master at that point. We also see a progression in the animation. The animation in the final 4 episodes of season 7 are just chef's kiss. It just looks beautiful. You can see General Grievous's pupils and the veins in his the organic parts of him, and it looks great. Especially the motion cap they did with Darth Maul versus Ahsoka, which is probably one of my favorite lightsaber battles ever. And to that point, I feel like casual fans that aren't into this, they're just robbed of such glorious content. And with all that being said, though, I think with most of the seasons, especially the first 2 or 3, the animation's a little rough. Visually, it's more of like an 8. But with Kevin Kiner's score, man, I got to give it another full point. I'm going to give it a 9 overall because Kevin Kiner, Clone Wars would not be Clone Wars without him. I mean, what he did with the themes and taking John Williams' work, but also creating his own themes, especially for Ahsoka and, you know, the clones and all that. And I think he did a wonderful job.
What about you, Matt?
I totally agree with Lo on here. I mean, yeah, we all can agree that the animation was a little bit of rough in the first 2 seasons, but then it started to improve. And fun fact, they spend like a couple of $1 million of every episode of the budget. And I was like, wow, they put a lot of effort into that. I'm not even joking. Like, it's insane. Especially when we get into the final season, they really put a lot of work into making the animation look more like photorealistic video game, if you really think about it. And I thought that they did a phenomenal job with the animation. I loved it. And I always love Dave Filoni, because I'm glad that he was able to come in and do the animation and tell the story, especially with George Lucas teaching him everything he knew about the lore of the Star Wars universe. I mean, it's a 9 out of 10 for the animation.
I'm as well. I'm right there. I think I give the Clone Wars a 9.5 out of 10 for me.
Ooh.
It begins and ends with Kevin Kiner. He also composed Peacemaker, Doom Patrol, and I think one more. I'm drawing a blank. But kudos to Kevin Kiner. And I was doing a little reading about him, and he did an interview several years back. And you know what he said, Loretto? Like, what is his favorite score? It's the Ahsoka score. He said that was the first score he made for Star Wars, and for that reason, I'm giving it a 9.5 out of 10. You have to listen to the scores separate from the show. I think it does it better justice when you do that. Just for me, because you really realize like how amazing Kevin Kiner was, like you said, Matt, able to take John Williams' score, but also make it his own. It was epic. It's vast. It's there's so many worlds in play. With the score, it is amazing. 9.5 out of 10 for me. Matt, you gave it a 9, right?
Yes, I did.
All right, memorable moments, Lo. Go ahead.
Oh man, there's like literally so many.
Yeah.
I don't want to. Oh god, I should have been more prepared for this one. Actually, you know what? Give me a second, Matt. I'm curious to hear what yours are.
Oh man, it's really tough. If I were to pick my favorite memorable moments, is the conversation between Maul and Ahsoka at the end when she was on the planet Mandalore, because Maul knew the whole time what Palpatine's plan was. He tried to warn Ahsoka, and she wouldn't listen. It's like, hey, join my side, because you're all gonna burn and perish. The Jedi Order, they're gonna fall. And the Dark Lord of the Sith has already taken over, has already been in the politics. And it was been right in front of your face all this time. And Anakin, I needed to face Anakin because he's going to be the main threat. He's not going to be the one to destroy the Sith and bring balance. But Ahsoka refused to believe him. And the showdown between them was epic. Was amazing and impactful. It really put you on the edge of your seat. The way that they did the fight choreography was phenomenal. And I'm surprised and so happy to see Ray Park returning to play Maul again, to do the physicality, the fight choreography, doing the performance capture. It's really it's amazing. That was easily my favorite moment.
Yeah, Ahsoka leaving the Jedi Order was so good. What a just monumental moment for those two. The Siege of Mandalore, like you said, man, is just some of the best Star Wars content of all time, including the OGs, and that final duel with the score behind them, and Ahsoka versus Darth Maul. Man, that's something. That's a scene I have watched over and over and over again to this day, and I watched it recently again, and the visuals with that are just so amazing. Like, everything about it is perfection. It is epic perfection. It feels like you're watching a movie. Like, that's the vibe of this thing, and just an incredible accomplishment. You had the scene of Ahsoka jumping, like, plane to plane, and she falls, and the plane crashes behind her with the explosion, and you have the money shot with her and her lightsabers. Like, the moment where that last moment where Ahsoka and Anakin meet and basically say their goodbyes. Just so touching, so touching. And obviously, the way it ended was like Vader, like on that planet looking for Ahsoka, and he had like a really like dark, ominous tone. I wish I could go back to like the first time I was watching that, because just a special feeling, man. That is Star Wars clicking on all cylinders. And like you said, Loretto, like if anybody hasn't seen that, you're so missing out. You are so missing out because it's utter perfection. It's as good as it gets. And it's just a culmination of, like, how many times do we see like a show just knock it out of the park and end on that kind of a high? It was just great. What about you, Lo?
Yeah, no, especially the reflection of Vader in the clone helmet just on the floor. It's just like, the Clone Wars is over, and it was such a beautiful shot. And like you guys, like to echo you guys, it was so cinematic, and it felt like I wanted to see it in theaters, But I actually wanted to like dig in my brain a little bit, because I wanted to highlight some other moments that maybe some people don't remember, or just like it's just personal favorites for me. For example, honorable mention to when Ahsoka takes the younglings to the temple and they all get their kyber crystals. That is one of my favorite episodes. It's kind of a filler episode, like not a lot of stakes are there, but that part of the lore, the mythology, the Jedi mythology was just beautiful to see, especially when Yoda, like the sun shines through and the waterfalls start going down, and then like it sets up the stage, like, oh, you must get your kyber crystal before the waterfall freezes or whatever, and it's like that's awesome. And also shouts out to Gunji, the little Wookiee. It's nice to see Wookiee Jedi, and I can't wait to see more of that in the High Republic.
Fun fact, in case not to cut you off, but fun fact, that planet that they were on Elam, which that was in the Jedi Fallen Order video game, and that planet was made out of Star Killer Base. So that was another fun fact. So I agree that awesome. arc was really well done. I don't care if it's filler, as long as it's a great filler episode that it's really leaning towards in the lore of how they got their kyber crystals and going through the trials as a youngling. That's awesome. We don't often get that.
Matt, what was your score for memorable moments? What did you give it?
Oh, for my final score is easily
I had 2 more.
out of 10. 10 out of 10 for that. My favorite moment with the Darth Maul and the Ahsoka.
All right. What about you, Loretto? What's your score?
Oh, I had 2 more. Sorry, but I also wanted to highlight when Vizsla and Maul fight for the who sits on the throne of Mandalore. I love that fight, especially seeing like the Mandalorian tactics against Maul. I mean, he ultimately gets the better of him, but it's such a fierce battle, and I loved seeing all like the Mandalorian tricks. Like the grappling hook, and then he had the dark saber, he had his guns and his jetpack, but it just wasn't quite enough to overcome Maul. And lastly, it's not exactly my favorite moment, but one of like the most epic moments I've ever seen, when Darth Sidious mows down the Maul brothers.
You say Maul down, no pun intended.
I know, it didn't come off the tongue correctly, but that was a crazy battle. And what's interesting is Darth Sidious kind of just tore through them like butter. I mean, he just murked Savage Opress.
He had another lightsaber? Like, where did that come from? We always just had one lightsaber out of his
I know.
He
apparently, when he has to kill two, apparently when he has 2 enemies, he'll pull out an extra lightsaber. We never see it again, do we?
No, never. Dude.
So yeah, shouts out to that scene, man.
We get to like see truly with Palpatine at his full prime in the animated show, which that was an epic fight between with Savage and Maul. I mean, and then they explained what happened to Maul in the comics after the fallout between Palpatine, which that was interesting.
And I think everything we saw from Maul and Clone Wars made, his appearances in Rebels that much better. Like, I love how the two just feed off each other. Like, it's so good. Loretta, what was your score for memorable moments?
It's a 10, man.
It's a 10.
I love this show. I'm gonna be honest. I'm biased as hell. I'm gonna damn near 10s across the board almost. So.
Rewatchability. Lead us off, Matt. How would you grade rewatchability?
Oh yeah, it's definitely a 9 out of 10. And it's definitely a rewatchability. Sure, there's been like several seasons, and yeah, that you have to get through the first season as well because it could be a little silly and kiddie. But it will go by quick. It's a lot of commitment, but you also have to watch the episodes in the chronological because when they put this out on Cartoon Network, it was out of order with the story. So you have to like go to like StarWars.com and find the right link to find it in chronologically, including the Clone Wars movie. And yeah, I definitely believe that this is a rewatchability.
9 for you. What about Lo?
Surprisingly, and it's nothing against the content. It's just each season is so long, especially if we're talking about rewatchability, like rewatching the whole thing, it's a chore for sure. It's a lot to get through. And to be fair, I mainly want to rewatch my favorite parts. Like, there's a bunch of episodes I'll skip over if I'm doing a rewatch. I actually have an episode guide that I wrote for myself.
I did that too. I did the same thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of those guides out there, and I did one for myself.
If you've already set through it for the first time, and if you want to skip some few episodes that are not very relevant, then you can just like put some notes of which best arc do you want to revisit again, and go from there.
Exactly. Just do the greatest hits, and the greatest hits are endlessly rewatchable. But because the entire series is not as rewatchable, I'll give it an 8.5.
Yeah, I mean, I will agree with Dives that if you're missing out if you have not seen the Clone Wars. You're definitely going to get robbed, and you're probably not going to like appreciate the prequel trilogy as much as you think, even if you weren't a big fan of it.
Yeah, and like you were saying earlier, Matt, especially Ahsoka leaving.
Exactly.
For casuals to not know that, that took a lot out of Anakin, and it made him question the Jedi Order.
Yeah, exactly, because you're seeing different perspective with Anakin. Like he's not just doing it just to save the love of his life. There's a lot more context going into the series when you watch it.
What's up, Ryan Cam?
You're gonna hear it. You're about to hear it, Ryan.
You're definitely gonna hear the debate, Ryan.
It's coming. Don't worry.
The hurricane is coming.
The dark cloud is coming.
I know you got that reference, Dives.
Yeah. Hurricane. My issue with the Clone Wars, like you said, Lo, is long, it's disjointed. It doesn't really get going, but once it does, it's at least the start. But once it gets going, it really kind of finds its groove a little bit. For me, I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. I'll just say it because, like you said, Loretta, like I watched them more on YouTube. It's all over the place. The filler episodes are straight filler, whereas the other show, the better show we're about to talk about, the filler's all like pure character development. Just for me personally.
Spoiler alert.
So, yeah, I could be wrong.
Can I also say real quickly while we're talking about the season, the series in itself, season 6 wasn't even a season. It was like lost episodes and like scrapped episodes from a lost,
yeah, it was like a 5. It was like a 5.2, like 5.0, like basically, because it was just like,
and it's not even a full season.
Like Netflix. This is when like Netflix picked it up. They picked it up and just fill in some of the lost episodes that didn't get a chance to air on Cartoon Network. Because here's the thing, the show was getting way more mature for younger audiences, and that's why that Cartoon Network decided to pull the plug, because they wanted to lean more for like 10-year-olds.
Yeah. All right, so I'm giving it a 7. 8.5 for Lo, and a 9 for Matt. Let's just do quick grades overall for the Clone Wars. Lead us off, Matt. Out of 10, what's your final grade for the entirety of the Clone Wars?
Well, like I said, I'm gonna give this like a 9 out of 10 because even though that some of the episodes had very fillery that are not very relevant, that almost derail the main story, but it wasn't enough to take me out of it. Yeah, it's a lot of commitment, but you're gonna get a lot more appreciation with the prequel trilogy. It has like a lot of great story arcs with newer characters that you haven't seen before, and some of the legacy characters that you want to know more with, like for instance, Anakin, Maul, and Count Dooku, Palpatine, Padme, etc. Like this prequel trilogy will be more forgiven and more appreciation after you get through the Clone Wars, and you're gonna feel very impactful because they brought back some of the characters from Rebels and Rebels, and then the Mandalorian. They brought back some of the Clone Wars characters.
Yep. What about you, Lo?
This is so tough, especially putting all the scores together and kind of just wrapping my head around it, because I truly love this show. It's been a big part of my life leading up to this moment, and as you can see, Ahsoka Tano's my girl, one of my favorite characters ever, and like the sheer excitement and joy when I saw Bo-Katan on The Mandalorian for the first time, and then when we see Ahsoka pull out her white lightsabers in that forest, it was just like
Dude, oh my god, my jaw hit the floor when I saw that in live action. I was like, oh my god, it's real. Because at first we thought it was a rumor that Rosario Dawson was going to be Ahsoka. I'm like, no, this is reality. And just like when Bo-Katan took off her helmet, it was played by Katie Sackhoff, which is she voiced the character in Clone Wars and Rebels.
Yeah.
That's why I like kind of feel I'm so emotional. I'm just so emotionally attached to this show. Like to not have that feeling, when when you see a live action Ahsoka, like I just feel bad for people that don't have that.
Yeah.
Because there's so much rich content there. True, because I mean everybody knows there's nothing more divisive than modern Star Wars content, but it's there. But you just have to be willing to watch it.
Yeah,
So
there
I
were
will
so
say,
many
as much as I
memes.
love it, it's not perfect, of course, and there is a lot of filler that, to be frank, I bet you there's probably 2 or 3 episodes I probably don't remember that well, but there's just so many of them, and they're so like it's just the seasons drag on forever. I think seasons 2 and 3 have like 23 episodes each, or 24 or something like that, and it's just so long. It's just so much to get into. I think it's not perfect, but it's near and dear to my heart. I'll give it a 9.7.
9.7.
That's close to being perfect, low.
It's close. It's close.
And also, there's been so many memes that they crack jokes about the casual fans who have never seen the Clone Wars and Rebels when they saw some characters in Mandalorian. They were like, "Oh, their jaw would not hit the floor," but everyone else is like, "Why are you so surprised? Like, because you didn't see the fucking show? Are you serious?"
Right. Well, and also most casuals don't even know who the hell Dave Filoni is. So we're over
That's
here
true.
like, in Dave Filoni we trust, and then casual fans are like, who? So.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Yeah, for me, what did I give it? Look at my notes. I give it a 9.2. 9.2 out of 10. For me, obviously, you start with Ahsoka, one of my favorite. No, my favorite character of Star Wars. Period. That journey she had in this show is unbelievable, and the payoff we've had on the live action, what it means moving forward, is terrific. We're literally going to Disney World to Galaxy's Edge next week. And I literally just told my wife, like, the only thing I want to get out of Disney World is like Ahsoka gear and swag. I need more Ahsoka, like that shirt, Loretto. I need that. So it's just a special character for me. I thought it was really cool kind of to learn about more of the dark side. I think the show did a really good job of kind of like humanizing some of the dark side, the Sith Lords, and that was really, really fun. I think Star Wars is at its best when it's not just giving you light and dark. It's like addressing that gray area. And I think that this show is where it really found its footing, and that echoed into Rebels, and that echoes into like Bad Batch. And I love it when Star Wars addresses that kind of content, that pool versus light and dark, and all that kind of stuff. So for me, it's a 9.2 out of 10. We are going to roll on to Rebels unless anybody has any final thoughts on that. We good?
Yep, we're good.
All right. We good. So let's roll into story and plot for Star Wars Rebels. Lead us off, Lo.
Whew. All right, this is where things are gonna get interesting here. First and foremost, I love the Ghost family. Okay, I mean Sabine Wren, Hera Syndulla, my favorite of the crew, the pilot and the love interest of Kanan Jarrus, one of my favorite Jedi ever, and of course Ezra Bridger and Zeb, of course. They're just a great crew. Chopper, can't forget Chopper.
So good.
I like the focus on their family. Like the entire series hinges on their bond and the journey they go through together. With that being said, though, and don't take this as me not enjoying it. I thought season 3 was great, and of course, the battle with Thrawn and like the whole drama with Sabine Wren's family on Mandalore and her with the Darksaber, and then she links up with Bo-Katan. That's fine, but I just felt like the series lost a little bit of gas after the Vader Ahsoka encounter, which happens at the end of season 2, which it felt like in the middle of everything. It's just like, to me, that felt like the climax of the show at that point. That's like how much I was invested in, because I love Ahsoka Tano. And so to see this show continue on without her, it wasn't about her, but it was just a little bit more of a bittersweet thing for me. And it felt like that season 2 finale was a lot more exciting than most of what happens in 3 and 4. Nothing against, like I said, nothing against Thrawn and nothing against the Mandalore drama, but I felt like it peaked at that point. So story-wise, I'll give it an 8.7.
What about you, Matt?
Dude, I really instantly love the Rebels. The moment that the first episode dropped on Disney XD, I've never felt so much nostalgic to the original Star Wars trilogy. It was getting us back to what we love about Star Wars. You're exploring brand new characters that you haven't heard of before, and you're following through the journey with them. They became more just a crew. They definitely became a family, and I enjoyed their dynamic, and seeing each of their arc progress throughout the whole series. And I will say, I will agree, Lowell, that season 2, towards the end of the finale, it did feel like it was a conclusion. But to me, the way it felt like it did wrap up, but also it was the end of the chapter and the beginning of the new season for season 3. My favorite, like I said, like the season 2 finale is definitely my favorite out of all of them, because we get to see the Sith, Malachor, we get to see the biggest climactic fight in the reveal of Maul that we haven't seen in a long time since the Clone Wars, and the lightsaber battles with the Inquisitors, and then the big showdown between Ahsoka and Vader. Oh my God, I never felt like so like shivering on the edge of my seat. The music score, whoever did the music score for Rebels, like should do a lot more for. Yeah, okay, yeah, he should definitely do the score for the movies. Like he was perfect for that, for the music, for the story. It just made you feel for these people, and it was so impactful because you grew with Ahsoka and Anakin through the show, and then seeing them coming in confrontation, it was just intense, and I loved it. And I love the way that they've ended the episode. It just gives you shivers and very emotional. And my favorite character is definitely Kanan. I mean, I'd love to see a character a Padawan that went rogue and wasn't fully done training, and he went through the trauma of losing his master, and seeing him like being the mentorship, even though he doesn't fully know what he's doing, but he's just like making up as he went along. He's still progressing, he's still learning it, and then seeing them going through the Jedi Temple and going through the trials was incredible. Hearing Yoda, Frank Oz coming back to voice Yoda, that was incredible. I got teary-eyed. And I really enjoyed 3 and 4. I thought it really showed you of how the rebellion was built, and you've seen a lot of these Rogue One characters that are going to have a little bit more impactful to the film as well. And then I think that story, it's a 10 out of 10. I love it.
Yeah, it's Loretto. You know, I hear you about how like season 2 peaked, but like Twilight of the Apprentice is like probably the best episode of like Star Wars period. So yeah,
it's a hard act to follow, you know.
I know, like that is pinnacle Star Wars for me. That's the peak. It is the best moment. Just that moment where you first see Vader and he's coming down on the TIE fighter. He's like, oh, God. I don't even know how to describe it. We're gonna get to that in favorite moments for sure. We'll save that in a little bit. But for me, like Rebels, it was a way more consistent show than Clone Wars. It was way more
I'll give it that. The narrative was way more tight.
Because this is all about characters. I was way more emotionally invested in all of these characters. Like Kanan's death scene, like I was screaming when he like pushed Hera away from the fire. Like there's so many moments like Ahsoka, like in this show, that's all about the characters. And like I said earlier, like the fillers are Hera's story. The fillers are Sabine's story. And you're just learning more and more and more about these characters. And I absolutely loved it. It's definitely more linear. I think it's definitely a smaller scope, but it's kind of like what you want out of Star Wars. And you nailed it, Matt. Like these are fresh characters, characters that I was really excited about to learn more about them. Whereas Clone Wars kind of recycled a little bit of the old guy. I really love learning about the 501, like all that kind of stuff. For me, I'm going to give it a 9.5. A 9.5 for story here. Just terrific top to bottom. Let's roll on to visuals and sound. Low.
So, you know, funny enough, when I started Rebels, the art style is a little jarring. Like, it looks clean, it looks nice, but it was hard to get used to at first. Especially, I wasn't crazy about the thin sabers, but you know, as I finished the show and then I learned more about what the show's influences were, it actually was really heartwarming to know that they based this art style on Ralph McQuarrie's concept art for the original Star Wars. And when you look at the original concept art for the original films, and then you look at Rebels, it's like, well, there it is. And I think to honor Ralph McQuarrie in that way, he's an amazing artist. I think that was really cool, and it made me appreciate that art style a little bit more. It's obviously it looks a lot better than Clone Wars did, especially from season 1 through 2. It's like it looks way better than the first 2 seasons of Clone Wars ever did, and I think that's just a product of time. And, you know, Rebels obviously came out after, and the medium progressed from that point. Kevin Kiner, of course, killed it. I mean, there's nothing like he literally enhances both shows with his music. So I mean, there's not much to say there. So I think I'll give it a 9.3.
9.3 for low. What about you, Matt?
I will agree. I mean, it was a little difficult to get used to this new type of animation because we were so used to the animation from Clone Wars. And I don't know how much money they spent on this budget, and they might have spent a little bit less. Who knows? But it does hit a little bit difficult to get used to. But then it starts to grow on you, and it starts to get better too. I mean, I think because visually wise, the scope, the cinematography just really hits it out of the park when it needs to, and I really enjoy that. If I were to the music score, like I said before, I loved it. It was the most memorable music score than the Clone Wars did. And I thought they really crushed it. I'm giving this thing an 8.5 out of 10.
8.5 for Matt. This is another 9.5 for me. Yeah, obviously nothing touches season 7 of the Clone Wars visual wise. Like Maul looks so terrific in those final scenes, man. It's unbelievable. And the lightsaber fighting and the Duel of the Fates, I think, was playing. That's terrific. But I give this a 9.5. Like I said earlier, if you listen to the pieces beyond just watching Star Wars Rebels, man, they're really, really strong. It's like a forgotten Star Wars score. People don't know enough about it, just like Star Wars Rebels. So for me, it's a 9.5. Let's roll on to memorable moments. Good God. Lo, go ahead.
Oh man, I mean, okay, so like, just let me just precursor this with, you mentioned it, like Twilight of the Apprentice is one of the greatest things that happened to Star Wars, period. So that's a given. Like Vader versus Ahsoka, that's a given. So again, I'm gonna try to highlight some other moments that are just maybe a little more low key or not as known. Let's see here. So definitely, we've talked about this before, Dives. Kanan teaching Sabine the Darksaber, training her with the Darksaber, that was beautiful. And I loved how she Sabine Wren was one of my favorite characters as well, and I liked seeing her journey there, even though that was probably one of the highlights of season 3 for me. Just her Darksaber training and her growth as a Mandalorian warrior, learning, like, you know, she can't just fight the way Kanan wants to, she needs to be herself. And I loved when she put it all together and put all her Mandalorian tricks together, and then that's how she finally learned to wield it properly. I love that. Let's see. Shouts out to Wedge Antilles. I loved when Sabine recruited him from the dark side. That was awesome. Again, that's kind of like what you guys are talking about, how seasons 3 and 4 kind of led into the rebellion that we see in A New Hope and Rogue One. So that was pretty cool. And lastly, you know what? I hate to steal this from one of you guys, but Obi-Wan and Darth Maul, Maul's final battle. It's just so beautiful. It's so subtle, and it's such a callback to how samurai fights really are. I mean, you look at like Akira Kurosawa's like Seven Samurai. Samurai are quick, man. One and done. Like, you mess up, you're dead. And like that's the way of the blade. And like, I liked that it was very subtle. It wasn't like a bombastic fight because it didn't need to be. I think they have already established that, and I thought that the way that Maul went out in his enemy's arms, I thought that was such a beautiful send-off for a warrior like Maul. So that's actually probably one of my favorites, like up there with the Vader Ahsoka fight. So
how would you grade it?
Oh shit, 10. It's beautiful. It's like cinema. It's like, you know, it's like, you know, people say cinema, like this is cinema. It's just beautiful.
What about you, Matt?
I'm gonna give a few of my honorable mentions. I mean, we can all agree that the final fight between Ahsoka and Vader was the best part. So I'm gonna give the few of them that are probably not gonna be. It's probably one of my favorite moments. The trial of the Darksaber.
Yes!
Yep, it was definitely one of the best episodes of that show. We learned a little bit more what the Darksaber was. We learned from a little bit of the history, and then we learned that Sabine needs to be the one to wield it in order to lead her own people on for Mandalore. And seeing her going through the trials and seeing her conflicted and just something was holding her back and why she's not so fully in tune with the kyber crystal of the Darksaber, and seeing Kanan teaching her and giving her discipline and have her confronting her fear was definitely emotional. It just felt, it was, because that's the best thing about lightsaber duels. It's about conversation between your opponent and adding the story and the drama. It makes the fight even more satisfying and intense. And another one, I will say, I will agree, Lo, the Obi-Wan and Maul fight. A lot of people would complain that the fight fell a little bit too short, but if you really pay close attention to the fight, this is something that they've already have been faced before. Maul was very predictable. He was very unhinged, and he needed to be put down. And that's what Obi-Wan did. And the way he was posing in that fight, he was doing the one pose that the one he last saw him in the Clone Wars. Like, this is like, this is not the same guy you saw me last time. Then he does the Qui-Gon pose. And he thought he was going to make that one move that Maul killed him in the Phantom Menace. He tricked them, and it was just messing with them, like getting inside their head and messing with them, and that's how he was able to take him out with a couple of swings, with one blow. And the death scene between him and Obi-Wan, like, it was such a beautiful and so impactful and a satisfying end to Maul's arc. Saying that one last night, tell me, is he the chosen one? He is. And it was so good. The one final moment with Obi-Wan riding that thing, whatever it's, I can't remember. What was that creature that he rode on? I can't remember.
Oh, man. I don't remember.
I can't think of the top of my head. But anyway, but that last scene was so very nostalgic to see Aunt Beru hearing the dialogue from A New Hope, like, Luke.
Yeah.
Just seeing Luke running to Aunt Beru, like, that was adding very nostalgic to A New Hope, and it was playing the score of the Binary Sunset. It was just, oh God, it was just so emotional. Like, you already know where this leads. And I forgot what other moments. Oh yeah, a world between worlds. Him, Ezra, exploring through space and time, hearing all the dialogue from future, past, present, and future was just so good. And then bringing Ahsoka out of that portal was so incredibly well done. I mean, it could have been done poorly because we all know that sometimes Hollywood can use time travel and could be overused and very like a cop out, but it didn't. It actually worked. And we see that Ezra is trying so hard to bring back Kanan, and knowing that he can't do that, because if you pull him out of this moment, all of you will die along with him, and it would not have worked. You would have messed up the fabric of time, and that was just an emotional thing that he has to let his master go. And Ahsoka says, "If I can't save my master, and neither can you, and you have to let go."
Yeah, amazing, man. You're giving me goosebumps.
No, a good moment, man.
Because I literally just recently watched that episode today, just to get that refreshed memory.
I'm really glad you brought up Trials of the Darksaber. That's, Gabe needs to watch that, because like, there's no way you can watch that training sequence where Sabine's just letting it all out, and it is just so emotional with the score behind it. Epic, no doubt. So, Kanan's death scene's crazy good. How about Ahsoka versus the Inquisitors? That was really, really fun. That first sequence when
it was so badass. The way she walked out the door and she just busts out that white lightsaber for the first time, like, whoa, this is new.
I remember cheer moment.
They definitely established how they definitely, not to cut you off, guys, but they definitely established it in the canon novel with Ahsoka, novel of how she was able to get a new construct her own new lightsaber, and how she got the kyber crystal, because it came from the Inquisitor, from the red kyber crystal, and she was able to like heal it, and that's why it turned from red to white. Fun fact for any of you who have not read the novel.
And I forgot about a moment that I really, really loved about the Clone Wars, and that is when Ahsoka gets the clone army. She gets to become the general of the clone army, right? And you go back to like Clone Wars, and I remember like her and I think it was Rex, like talking about like, are you a commander? Are you a captain? And all that kind of stuff. Like just full circle. Just really, really amazing stuff there. Just so many emotional moments. So I gave it a 9.5. Matt, what was your score for memorable moments?
Okay, for the memorable moments, for my favorite was definitely the showdown between Ahsoka and Vader. So I'm going to give that thing a 10 out of 10 because it was so impactful and so rewatchable because you've seen their history through the Clone Wars, and you're going to just get it like, oh my god, here it comes. And then seeing that one moment when she swing the lightsaber at his mask and seeing the crack and saw the eye of her own master, because she knew all along and she refused to believe that was Anakin all along, but now she knew the truth and saying that I won't leave you, not this time. And it's like, then you will die. Igniting the lightsaber. Chills. The music was so like very like mythical and stuff. It was just like, oh well.
And the look on her face, it was just so tortured.
The shocking moment on her face, like, oh my god, that's really you.
And like Vader was like at the point of no return at that point. Like that's when we talk about. Man, it was so good. It was like that's prime Vader. That's kind of what I'm hoping out of Obi-Wan. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna get some Anakin in Obi-Wan, and I want to see that. I want to see that Vader where like he's absolutely menacing. I don't want to see Anakin going back and forth anymore. I want to see in this moment in Obi-Wan like batshit. You know, where he's like literally everybody fears him, and he's in that starting process. That's what I want to see.
From what I've heard, that you're going to see like two like lightsaber duels between Obi-Wan and Vader, and from according to Hayden Christensen, you're definitely going to see him at his full prime. And I'm so excited for Hayden Christensen returning as Darth Vader and him donning the suit. They're definitely going to do their own stunts. This is not the first time they've done that through the prequels. They're definitely going to have that big showdown, and that's just going to be so incredible. I'm just all the love for Hayden Christensen because he's definitely going to get the same same attention like with Andrew Garfield to Spider-Man in No Way Home.
Yeah, that's a really good comparison. I like that.
Yeah, because a lot of people shit on him over the years. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of was one of them at the time, but then I started to grow and started to understand that he can definitely improve and he can definitely get the comeback that he deserves.
We have Ray in the house saying, "Lo, wake up."
Allergies, man. There's a lot of pollen floating around this garage.
All right, rewatchability. Let's keep it trucking. Star Wars Rebels out of 10. Go ahead, Lo.
Also, really quickly, I just want to shout out because I was rewatching this episode today, just because that was one of the one I wanted to watch. The moment we see old Rex, that got me. I know you love Rex too, Matt. Like when Kanan and Ezra find him on that desert planet, and he's like chilling with his boys, you know, just hunting. What's that creature called? Juplas, the big worm thing. It warmed my heart to see old Rex with the beard, and I was just like, oh man, that's awesome. But anyways, rewatchability. You know, I got to give it to this series. It's more condensed, obviously, and it has, like you said, Dibes, its fillers more meaningful, and I think that as a whole, it's much easier to get through, and it's just so incredible. Especially, I think the fight choreography is much better. I mean, with Ahsoka battling the Inquisitors, with the epic team up with Ezra, Kanan, Ahsoka, Kanan, and Maul versus the Inquisitors, like that. Like it was like a wrestling tag team, but it was like so cool. It was like
the moment where they like where they all hit the lightsabers at the same time, like one side versus the other side.
That was awesome.
Freaking
dude,
awesome,
and seeing Maul just fucking murdering the Inquisitors. Like, this is not a kid's show.
Yeah, man.
Like that guy,
and
oh my god.
Like moments like that and all the moments we listed like 2 seconds ago, I actually think Rebels is a lot more rewatchable than the Clone Wars. So I'll give it that. Dives, do you remember the score I gave Clone Wars for rewatchability?
Rewatchability for the Clone Wars for you was 8.5.
Yeah, I'm definitely higher than that. You know what? I'll give it a 9.4.
All right. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, I definitely say that this is definitely a most rewatchable Star Wars show, and it's very underrated that not enough people, not even the fans, talk about this show. This is definitely, with story-wise, plot-wise, character-wise, it hits. Even the action. Adding a little bit nostalgic and adding some of the legacy characters throughout the show really definitely served the story. It really became a satisfying end from beginning to end, and it definitely can set up for more things to come. Like for instance, the Ahsoka series, which we know that Grand Admiral Thrawn's going to come back. We know that Ezra Bridger and Sabine, they're definitely going to return, and we're going to see them in live action. And our job's going to hit the floor when the moment we see them. Yeah, and visualize in music, sound, everything was incredible. I watched this over and over again. I own the complete series on Blu-ray. That's how much I really love the series. And especially it's not like 23 or 24 episodes per season. Each of them are like 13 episodes, and it's easy to binge. It's easy to get through more than the Clone Wars. I mean, you got to, like, for Clone Wars, comparing to these two, Clone Wars was way more treated this more like an episodic, instead of just having this own like full-on linear narrative story with the main characters. But for this one's entirely different. This is definitely a linear narrative story. So I'm going to give this thing a 9.5 out of 10.
Oh, baby. I surprisingly I gave it a 9, but that's definitely higher than I gave the Clone Wars for me. I'm a villains guy. Thrawn was terrific, man. He's like the master strategist. He's playing chess while everyone's playing checkers kind of villain. I love that. I cannot wait to see him live action wise. And like you said, Matt, like all these characters are we're going to see more and more. I think there's a reason that Star Wars is doubling down on these characters rather than kind of like tossing it to the side because it's so fucking good. They're amazing characters. So much rewatchability. We're almost done with our rewatch right now. Nicole's not seen it yet. We're literally like 5 episodes left, and she's loving it, absolutely loving it. And she's not really into animated stuff, so it's got something for everybody. It's definitely like it feels like a kid's show, like you said, Matt, but like there's some dark elements in the show that are epic, man, really, really epic. So it's got something for everybody for sure. I'm going a 9 out of 10. For me, and let's go into overall grades. Go ahead, Lo.
Man, I hate to say it. You almost have me convinced, Dives. Yeah, I almost want to reserve my score. I want to rewatch Rebels from the beginning. I kind of want to like reanalyze 3 and 4 through a different lens because I was a little harsh earlier. But I mean, overall, as an experience, it's almost hard for me to separate the two, if I'm being honest. I mean, it's fun to do the debate, but really, I feel like they're like it's like a branch of the same tree, right? I mean, it's like Clone Wars and Rebels are hand in hand, like Dave Filoni's like babies, and they both have memorable, emotional moments that just tug on our heartstrings and pull on our Star Wars, nerd heartstrings. And man, I'll definitely give it a 9.2.
All right, a 9.2 for Lo. Go ahead, Matt.
Pending a rewatch, though. That might go up.
Yeah, dude, this could have been easily a debate, like full-on versus of what picking side of which one this show is better, or you're an idiot for anything like this show. This one's better. Like, dude, this is not one of them. This is just us talking about it and are passionate for these two shows. They're both incredible. So for Rebels, like I said, this is really definitely rewatchability. This is something you can easily binge. You're going to be fully invested with these newer characters that you haven't heard of before, exploring the journey. This is really about the family. That's what Star Wars really is. It's about family and finding your place in this world and really overcome evil and temptation. This is definitely close to being a perfect show. This is like a 9.5 out of 10.
All right, hold on one second. I'm doing math while I do this. Can only do one thing at a time.
No worries, man.
All right. You gave it a 9.5?
Yes, I did.
I also gave Star Wars Rebels a 9.5 on my end. I just think, unlike Clone Wars, like Rebels, it wrapped up the way it wanted. There's not as many loose ends, and yeah, it definitely leaves things open-ended. But the fact that we're getting it's going somewhere, especially moving forward where we're at now with the Ahsoka series, is so incredibly exciting for me. I thought the entire show and Lothal and how it was liberating Lothal, it's just awesome. For me, it's a 9.5. Loretto, what do we got going on? Do you have any final thoughts on your victory here with the movie draft? Because I need like a minute to do some calculating.
Yeah, so I want to congratulate everybody that participated. Shouts out, Formal Review, Young Author and Daleview, Christian, Amanda, Yumi, and of course we were in it. But everyone did a fantastic job. Jalen did a great job. It's so fun doing the drafts. I'm so glad we're back into this brand new season. We're gonna have a whole new season of champions, and I'm gonna be honest. I was snubbed from this last year. I made the finals like 3 or 4 times. So to be the first champion this time, it felt like rewarding. It felt like justice was served. I feel like I'm a contender. I just couldn't quite get the cusp of it in the last season. So again, thanks to everybody that participated. Thanks for everybody for voting. This was a great draft. I think it had a lot of great moments, a lot of close battles. I think you lost by 1 vote, Dibes. And then I won by 3. So, I mean, it was just an intense battle. Feel and Film came to play. Shouts out to Aaron again. And this Friday, I am particularly excited. We have another versus this week. We're doing Stranger Things versus Cobra Kai in anticipation of Stranger Things' new season. I can't wait for that. I love both shows dearly. Can't wait to break that down.
I will not be on that. I will be in Disney World.
Dude, I've been to Galaxy's Edge, and it was a lot of fun, dude. You're going to have a lot of fun at Galaxy's Edge.
I cannot wait, man. Counting down the days.
Yeah, I think Disney, I mean, they've always done really well with like their storytelling when you're at their parks, but that immersion with the Galaxy's Edge is just something else, man. It's just, you really feel like you're somewhere else, and they really capture the spirit of what we love. And I love that the cast members stay in character. Like, they always mention like, oh, if you go off planet, you can find this and that. And it's like, they ask you for credits instead of like dollars. And
that's so cool.
I love it. Wait, Dibes, have you not been?
Not Galaxy's Edge, no.
Dude, you would see like Kylo Ren like coming in the stormtroopers harassing you. Asking, where is the resistance? Which that was hilarious.
Looking for
even Kylo just gave me a dead stare. It's like, move along.
And actually, another great moment I actually experienced. There was a guy right in front of me. They're walking around, and he was like, "Down with the First Order!" And then like the stormtroopers turned around. They're like, "Who said that? You?" No, and, like they're like just like messing with him. It was so funny. Like,
I'm gonna be doing all of that stuff. I cannot wait.
Bro, the only thing I did not get a chance to do, I didn't get a chance to do the custom your own lightsaber experience, because this was like when I during the COVID pandemic when I went there, and they closed it down at the time, and they were just handing out legacy sabers, and that's pretty much all they did. And
I'm probably not gonna do it.
But dude, once you're on the Falcon and flying the thing, like if you're a gunner or a co-pilot or engineer, it's definitely incredible. You definitely felt like you're in the Millennium Falcon flying, feeling like Han Solo, being the pilot. It was pretty badass.
Cannot wait. All right, guys, ready for the final scores here? Here we go.
Let's see how this went.
The victor is Star Wars Rebels gets the W here. Unbelievable. They win it with 93% over Clone Wars, which got a 91.2%. You look at the Clone Wars, I was a little bit lower than everybody else. Lo and Matt were pretty much on target. And then, wow, pretty much consistent for Star Wars Rebels as better. Loretto, you gave it 1% less than the Clone Wars.
Team Clone Wars, baby.
Well, Matt gave Rebels 1% better than the Clone Wars. And I was obviously... I don't think that represents... I don't think I like Rebels that much more than Clone Wars. It's just the way this worked out.
Sorry, Ryan. Sorry, Ryan Lowe. Rebels rules, and that's a fact.
Rebels rules. Clone Wars rules. There it is. Any reactions to these numbers?
No, it's funny. Like when you say it out loud, but then when you actually look at it on paper, it's oh wow, like that feels about right. 1%
difference.
Difference, that makes sense to me. I mean, I love both shows, so
yeah.
Anyway, I mean, even the numbers are very accurate, but at the end of the day, but who cares? When we're Star Wars fans, we love both of these shows equally, bro. Like, why can't we coexist?
We're all winners here. Like
Everyone's a winner.
Everyone's a winner. Everyone that's complaining about Star Wars, just stop what you're doing and watch the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, and let's all just love each other because it's amazing. Both shows are
also
amazing.
To your point,
stop whining and just enjoy these shows.
Like to your guys' points, because you guys love Rebels so much, we're getting a whole lot of Rebels in the next couple of months, man. I mean, the Inquisitors and Obi-Wan, and who knows what we're going to see in Ahsoka's show. So
the Inquisitors are literally copy and pasted from Obi-Wan. I'm excited. I'm so excited. Let's wrap it up. Matt, where can we find you last time for plugs, man?
Dude, I love talking about Star Wars. Thank you so much, Dives, for inviting me on the show for Star Wars, because I'm a big Star Wars fan. I live and breathe. I can literally talk about this all day. So if I'm willing to come back, and if you guys are covering for the Obi-Wan series, I'm definitely be down to talk about it, because I'm definitely going to be on that 100%, because this is my most anticipated show. Like, I'm looking for all these shows and movies, but fuck all of them, Obi-Wan, baby. So if you want to find me, you can find me at MattWyatt651 on my Twitter page, and you can go to the Linktree in the bio, where I have my Instagram, and then I have my Letterboxd where I do my movie reviews. I'm playing catch up on other films that I missed out in the theaters, so you can check out my recent review for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Love it, man. Absolutely love it. Love the energy tonight. Thanks again, Matt. Wesley is in the house saying, gotta go Rebels. Clone Wars was fantastic, but didn't become great until season 3 or 4. But Rebels was amazing throughout. Retweet. If I could retweet that comment, I would. And Wesley says, preach, Matt. What about you, Lo? What do you got going on right now?
You can follow me on Twitter or Letterboxd at Marcellus Durden for all my brief mini reviews on Letterboxd. And I'm just excited for Friday. That's going to be a great discussion. We're going to have a couple great guests on that as well, so I'm looking forward to that. Just got to lock in the date. I'm going to set up the stream. Dives, word of advice, do not miss Rise of the Resistance. That is literally the greatest ride experience I've ever had in my life. It's just well done.
I totally agree. You're not going to want to miss out. You're definitely going to feel a little bit more realistic during this battle once you're in the ride. It's intense.
It's just amazing. It's
very
amazing.
immersive.
And I don't want to spoil it either, so just enjoy the hell out of it.
A lot of people spoil it on YouTube anyway. People
but still,
from beginning to end.
It's different when you're there, especially like there's a part of the line where it just starts and you're like, oh, this is happening. Like, you know what I mean?
You're literally, before you even go on the ride, you literally just walk into the Star Destroyer in the First Order, and it feels like you're in Star Wars. Like, oh my god, is this real? You see the sets being built, the stormtroopers standing down, even though they're not actually real stormtroopers, but it was definitely dope. And seeing the characters staying character as an Imperial officer kind of almost scared me. Some of them gave me a dead stare, like I'm up to no good. I was like, what the hell are you looking at?
I love it, man. Guys, thank you everyone for watching. Please give this video a like if you love the Obi-Wan Kenobi series coming out in just about a week and a half. If you love Star Wars Celebration, The Bad Batch, Rebels, Clone Wars, all the above. Thank you everyone for watching. Follow my man Lo on Twitter at Marcellus Durden. He is Matt Wyatt at Matt Wyatt651. Go check out his letterbox. For Lo, for Matt, for myself, stay awesome, everybody.